What's up, guys? Welcome to the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and we have another episode today. Not one that was planned and not a fun topic to talk about, but something that I think is important for everyone to understand and realize, because if you're watching, you probably see that my left arm's in a sling. And if you're listening, my left arm's in a sling. So before I go into the details of that and why I'm picking this topic, make sure to give a like, subscribe, follow, whatever is appropriate for the channel you're listening on, whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. Do that real quick. Give it a rating, as that helps the show get pushed out for more people. Also, down below will be also all the links, discount links, etc. for you guys, which I'll remind you at the end. So you don't have to do that right now. Okay, so a little backstory. First of all, so far, I'm okay. So I got an injury on, what was it? 2 days ago? Wednesday. I got injured while working out. So left shoulder injury. I was benching. So I warmed up, did push press fine, did heavy bench fine. Actually, I had a really good session, got 295 for 6. Which I was very happy about because getting close to like being back to the strength I was before having kids sets my 1RM right around that 345 range, which is about my true, I think like my estimated 1RM was like 355. So it's like my strength is almost there. I was really close. Now 315 for 5 is what I wanted to get back to and then progress from there. But I was very happy with that. So then I go to speed bench. So if you're not familiar with speed bench, basically the way you set up. So you set up like you're going to do a 1 rep max. So it's very stable. You're not treating this lightly. And the goal is to do all 3 reps with a light weight in the time you would do your 1 rep max. So in the time frame it would take me to do a 330, 340 pound bench press, I'm going to knock out 3 reps. Now this was at 245, which is the heaviest I'll go. So I was doing 225 and 235 for the earlier in the month. This was the heavy week, of course, before backing down next week. So I was going to go back down to like 225. So it was like 1 week at 225, 2 weeks at 235, 245. Again, weight wise, that might sound like a lot of weight for you, but that's my 12 rep max, which is like 70% of your 1 rep max. It's not a very heavy weight. For me, and some of you who are stronger, you might be like, that's nothing at all. It's not a very heavy weight. So I do the first set, fine. I go to the second set, second rep. All of a sudden it feels like the packing bubble paper, all those little things you like to pop. It feels like that in my left shoulder. And I just stop immediately. I drop the bar down, just shout, oh, fuck. My wife's in the living room. She just thought like a post got messed up or a recording got messed up. She didn't think anything of it, which I could have called out to her, but also like our garage is right below where my oldest daughter is sleeping, which is when I was working out. So I was like, okay, 245, I'll attempt to wiggle out of this, which I did just fine. It was challenging. I had safety clips on, so it didn't make a big ruckus. So I pushed the bar off to one side, wiggled out from underneath. Not a big deal. I've done that before, like 225. So an extra 20 pounds, not a big deal for me. I don't recommend doing it. But in this situation, I really was really struggling. Like I still had some strength in this shoulder. So it wasn't like this shoulder was like flopped down off to the side. Like, oh shit. So I ended the workout there, obviously. Went and iced it. Still have full range of motion. Pain started to set in. So I got checked out yesterday, got x-rays done. X-rays came back normal. I passed pretty much all of the rotator cuff test, but have pain and discomfort. So probably it's going to be a partial tear or a strain, something like that. Possibly inflamed the bursa, which is like one of the fluid-filled sacs to help protect the joint. Probably something like that, but we won't know unless I get an MRI. So I'm just waiting to hear back from the doctor. They'll call in, tell me, write a script for ortho if needed or anything for an MRI. So I'm just waiting for that. Probably come in today. So yeah, super fun, right? um, so that's what happened. And obviously, we're going on vacation next week. And then hunting season's coming up. So there were a lot of thoughts going through my mind that night, like, fuck, vacation is going to be affected, which, not the biggest deal, especially with our girls. We're not doing any crazy hikes, but it's still going to be affected. Hunting season, strength wise, I was doing really well with my workouts. I was making progress. Things were going great. And this is a major setback. And then obviously hunting season, like, well, can I pull my bow? As of right now, I can't actually draw my bow back. What the fuck am I going to do? So those thoughts they all went through my head, and it's something normal. Like if you are in the situation or in the future, if you work out long enough, at some point you're going to get hurt. And more often than not, it's not actually in the gym. It's outside the gym. You get injury and then it affects what you can do in the gym. But injury is going to happen at some point. You're going to probably get hurt. Very few people go through life without some sort of injury at some point, regardless of whether you're physically active or not. Like if you're not physically active, it might just be you trip and then you don't have the strength to support yourself and you break your wrist or you pull a shoulder. Like that was what they thought. The x-ray tech asked me if I fell. I was like, no, but I was working out. Most common like shoulder injuries are like falling and like catching yourself and all that weight yanking. That's a common one. So obviously feeling that this is common to feel, and a lot of people go, fuck it, I'm just going to give up, especially if you're early in your journey with your health and fitness, everything else. I've seen this with clients of like, everything's going well. And then it's like, this happens to like, they go into, I don't want to say depression, but like the blues as like, oh, everything sucks. Life sucks. I suck. Okay. So we got to pull our shit together and pull ourselves out of that. So obviously I need to hunt at some point, but we need a plan of action. So there's still a lot of work to be done before the season, which means this year my wife's going to do more hunting than I do. So I'm going to be needing to watching the girls more. Usually the way we set up in the years past is I go out because I can shoot further. I can shoot out to 50 yards generally, or 40 to 50 yards, depending on the year. That's going to be my max range, whereas my wife's max range is 30 yards. So it gives us a better chance of getting that first deer in the freezer if I go out. I have a heavier bow, so there's more likely to be a pass through and everything else. So it's more likely that there's going to be success if I go out to get that first deer in the freezer. Well, I doubt I'm going to be able to pull my bow back in September. I looked like week-wise, it's like 8 weeks till October. So mid-September is like 6 weeks, which is like the minimum time for rehab. Now it's my left. So it's the shoulder that stabilizes the bow. It's not the shoulder that pulls back, but it's still that there's that pressure and everything else. It still needs to be stable. So if there's a tear or anything, that could be an issue. So the plan is we just pivoted right away. Like, well, I can't actually practice for the next couple of weeks either. So I might only be shooting out to 30 yards. I can't practice. So all that the weeks where it's either my wife or me practicing, one person has to watch the girls. Guess what? Now it's going to be my wife taking over. She's going to get all the practice time instead of splitting it, or I just go and practice. It's going to fall more onto her. So we pivoted that way. In terms of vacation, it is what it is. Like we'll probably be fine. In terms of working out. So a lot of people will be like, oh, I hurt myself. I can't work out. Wrong. So you can still get things like your steps in. You can still do a lot of things with an injury generally. Now, obviously, there's some injuries that are going to be more challenging than others, but a lot of times we have, so let's say shoulder, back, and knee injuries. Those are kind of like the most common gym-ish injuries we see. Obviously, there's foot and ankle, and there's all sorts of injuries, but most common we're going to talk about. So my left shoulder's injured, not my right shoulder, not my two legs, not my back. So I still have a core. So I can still work out. I can still stay in shape. I just have to get a little creative. Now, if you go to a gym, like an actual gym, and there's machines, that's the easiest time to continue to stay in shape. So the machines are going to stabilize you. So you can do all of your upper body work if you have a shoulder injury with just your good arm, and you're going to be stable. You're not going to have to worry about like balancing yourself with the other arm. It's going to be just fine. If you injure your leg, you can do single leg work on machines, leg press, leg curl, leg extension. A lot of these machines, you can do single leg work as long as you can keep the other leg safe. That's the caveat. Like if that other leg can barely bend or anything, and it's going to be straight and in a position where it's going to be unsafe, different story. But you still have an upper body. So if you have a injury just to one limb, then you can work out the other side. You can work out the other half of your body and continue to work on goals there. So I'm going to be getting a lot of leg workouts in. It's going to be a lot of like total body stuff over the next couple of weeks, because that's the best way to do things moving forward. Is it my favorite? No, but I can do it. So machines, if you go to the gym, I obviously work out from home. So it's just free weight. So what am I going to do? Well, dumbbell and kettlebell work on one side, no real like true barbell work. But what I can do is I have a landmine set up, and landmines are fairly inexpensive. So what it is an attachment that usually goes on the floor. Some of them like also attach to a rack if you have that, and you put one end of the barbell in it, and then you can load the other side. So it's basically like a long like stick that you can press essentially. And so in that way, I can do heavy pressing. I can do heavy rows that way. I can do squats, like put it here and either with the weight behind me, do a hack squat or do a front squat with it. Load it just on this side, or kind of like a goblet squat. I can do deadlifts because you can just hold it, and I can do single leg or two-legged deadlifts with that. So that's going to be how I kind of work out moving forward, is using that landmine attachment, using dumbbells and kettlebells, and maybe like the steel gloves and maces, just with my one arm, two legs, making sure I don't get overuse injury, obviously. But obviously I can really push the legs. I can do body weight stuff. I can do a lot of core work, and that's going to be how I stay in shape. But a lot of people get concerned for, when you think surface level, it makes sense, but concerned of like, well, I'm going to get so developed on this side that I'm going to get lopsided on this side. You're going to get atrophy in your injured limb. That's reality. But what they found with a study done, they tested athletes, and there are two things. One study was looking at if you did mental imaging, like they had athletes imagining their sport during injury. They found that just imagining and visualizing their sport, the activities they would do, say a soccer player. So it's like kicking the ball and running plays and doing these different things. Or say it's Olympics are on. So say it's a swimmer and you're imagining swimming, or a diver is going through their diving routine. Or for me, an archer mentally going through that routine. Found that it activated the neurons and the muscle cells in the muscle groups that would be involved. So mentally imaging that helped activate and helped it from atrophying as much. The other thing was, if you just work out one side, your body really does not like to be like lopsided. I'm blanking on the term right now. Imbalance. It doesn't like to be imbalanced. That's the term. So if you work out your right arm, you still get stimulus on your left arm. Yes, imbalances will happen. Yes, given enough time, but your body's going to do a little bit to fight against that. So working out your right arm, you will still stimulate blood flow, neural activation, muscle activation in your left arm if you just work out your right. Or if you work out your right leg, you'll still do that in your left leg, and vice versa. So you will not atrophy as much. In fact, with the increased blood flow, you might speed up recovery. So you're going to leave being stronger, possibly recovering a little bit faster. And therefore, you're going to be able to get back to what you want to do sooner and get back to your baseline faster. So I'm not going to shy away from working out. Yes, I'm going to get a little bit of atrophy. I'm not too worried about that. It is what it is. I'm only supposed to be in the sling for a couple of days anyways, unless they find something very serious. So that's my advice for you. Don't let injuries derail you. If you get an injury and you can still work out, like you still have a good limb, you still have 2 legs, we need to get creative. Yes, have the feelings, go through the process of like, oh, this sucks. But then problem solve. We always have to go, you can't just like throw your hands up like, okay, what can I do? I can still get steps in. Worst case scenario, you can't lift weights or whatever. I can still go for walks. I can aim for 10, 12, 15,000 steps per day as my workout. I can still do that unless you have like obviously lower body injuries might limit your walking, but I have an upper body injury. If you have a back injury, one of the best things to do is walking for it. So if you have a back injury, yes, we can do seated and laying down exercises, but even that sometimes is very uncomfortable with very bad back injuries. But a lot of times walking is one of the best ways to prehab/rehab a back. Obviously talk to your physical therapist and doctor first. Not medical advice here, but coming back from a back injury, walking is really good. So, okay, you can't really do any lower body. You can't really do maybe some upper body, at least challenging. If it's like, I'm just getting like 15 minutes in and then it's like, it's too much. Okay. So we're going to do what we can, and then we're going to get our steps in. I'm not going to be able to ruck. I can't really safely throw the weight vest over me. I could maybe get it back, but I don't want to put pressure here. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to get steps in, regular steps. I'm not going to try to throw a weight vest on or anything. Maybe I could like do a sling thing. Like I have this sling, but I also don't want to like throw my neck out of alignment doing that with like a weighted, like one-sided backpack. So there's ways to work around it. And that's what's important to think about is what can I do if an injury happens? Because at some point it will. Obviously, this is like really bad timing because we're close to the season, but it's also far enough away that potentially I'm still going to have a season, an archery season. So hopefully, again, fingers crossed, everything comes back great. I don't have to go out and buy a crossbow, which I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just let my wife hunt the entire time, maybe get like the muzzle loader set up. And that's my only hunting is that. But that's it. That's how you're going to continue to move forward. It is generally not a death sentence for most injuries. Obviously, you need to talk to your doctor and physical therapist or occupational therapist, whatever it is, about your situation. This is a very general thing. So once you figure out what your specific injury is, then it's talk to people, especially like the physical therapist and occupational therapist, not necessarily the doctor. The doctor might just tell you like bed rest. The more and more are recommending more exercise. And the reason for that is one, it helps with recovery. You don't atrophy as much. You help maintain your health, both physical and mental health, during a time when you have an injury. Like this is frustrating. Having this sling on is super frustrating. Like I try to carry trash out from down here in my basement where my office is, grabbed it with my left arm. Guess what? It hurt. I was like, fuck, can't do that. I did something out like last night. I tried to like reach for my glasses when I woke up. I guess this morning when I woke up with my left arm, which was in a sling. So obviously sling at that, just like reaching, that hurt. It's like, fuck, I forgot about that damn thing. So it's frustrating. I've had knee injuries. I've had multiple back injuries. When it happens, it's very frustrating. But it's a time to kind of like step back, get creative, work on other things. Like my legs have generally been kind of like a weak point, especially because I don't have access to machines and haven't had access to machines to work legs in a long time. Well, guess what? I'm going to be hammering legs. That's going to be the main focus. I can really work on cardio. I can do those things right now, improve those areas. And the areas like I literally can't improve my bench press or like my pull-ups. I can't because I don't have an arm I can use. So there's no reason to focus on that. It's like we need to work on getting back to that, but I can't focus on like, oh, I can't do this. So it's not even worth working out. Like I can still do landmine squats. I can still do a single arm goblet squat. I can still do single arm deadlifts, especially like single leg deadlifts. I can still do a lot of things. I can lunge. I can split squat. I can do step ups. Obviously, I can walk. I can do all the exercises with my right arm. I can do a lot of things still. So there's a whole list of things I can do and a very small list of like barbell exercises I can't do. Okay, so we're going to work on the things we can. And that's the way you want to think about your own, if an injury pops up, how you're going to navigate that. So anyways, that's it today, guys. If you like the episode, again, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, whatever is appropriate. Rate the show. If there's a rating on the platform like Spotify and Apple, please give a 5-star review, as that helps the show get pushed out for other people, to find it. And then there's also freebies down below. Make sure to check out. There's a 20% off lesion supplements, which I'm using their fish oil to help with the inflammation right now. But also I've been using their caffeine-free pre-workout. I want to do a review on my social media of it. It's really good. I work out at night. I don't want a ton of caffeine. I want zero caffeine actually. But even during the day, like if I work out in the afternoon, I generally have coffee. So if I like have a day that I'm going to work out midday, I don't want a ton of caffeine. And even my afternoon caffeine's like 2 espressos or 1 cup of coffee. So it's about like espresso's like 60 milligrams caffeine. Cup of coffee is 100 milligrams. So it's about the same. That's what I do in the afternoon. I generally don't do more than that. So I don't want a pre-workout with 300 milligrams caffeine. 100 milligrams caffeine is fine, but generally those low energy, like low caffeine ones aren't that great either. I would rather just, if I need caffeine, do an espresso and then drink 2 espressos if needed, and then drink the pre-workout. So it's great. The flavoring, I got the Arctic Blast. It kind of tasted like the Blue Powerade. Great pump supplement. All the ingredients are dosed correctly. It doesn't contain creatine, which kind of sucks. But they have that in a different supplement. I buy it from bulksupplements.com. My creatine, just add it to it because I drink it all at once. But that's been really fun. So there's a 20% off coupon code. It's Chris LWA. You can use with Legion. Seeking Health supplement codes down below as well that you can use. So those have been great. If you need a freebie or you want more info, make sure to check out the Commit to Fit Facebook group. That link's down below. We are also going to be doing a free preview into Prime, which is the program I run at 8WC. So if you want to preview into what that program's like, we're doing a free 3-day, say that 3 times fast, free 3-day preview of it. So it's going to kind of go over everything, teach you how to kind of do it on your own too. So that's important. Like even if you don't join, you're going to come away with a lot of information of how to kind of do it on your own. And it's free. Yes, we're going to tell you like at the end how to join the program. You should just expect that it's a preview. It's 3 days. Don't expect like to get 30 pounds of weight loss off in 3 days. Technically, it's more like 5 days, but like 3 days of intense education. 4th day is kind of more like a recap. And then 5th day, if you want to join the program, great. If not, then we're just going to close down that Facebook group. That's as easy as that. If you don't want to join, no pressure, no big deal. But I would recommend doing that, even if you just want more info. If you're curious about the program, it's a good way to get insight. Or if you just want to learn more. The Prime program, we just got a review from someone. They said basically it's like a college course, which is kind of what we almost designed it as. So you leave the program after 12 weeks with all the tools and skills and everything you need to be successful on your own moving forward. So you can have a coach still, you can still continue, but it's more like you want to rather than you need to. Which is awesome. Basically, and we're talking, the goal is like after you leave that course, The only other education you need is like going and actually getting like your own personal training or nutrition coach certification. Like that would be the next step. Like you do that course, you're going to have the basics. You're not going to get the advanced stuff, which is where you go and get a legit certification to learn the more advanced stuff. So it gives you the information. You will be successful. So we're going to actually start recording, Aaron and I, the next modules here in a couple hours when I'm recording this. So we're super proud of the product. If you want to preview, again, that's coming up. Join the Commit to Fit Facebook group. You can also message me on social media. So that's also always an option. If you don't have Facebook or anything, you can always message me there. Join Aaron's email list, which the Mastering Your Macros, that'll put you on the email list where you'll get that information as well.